Welcome to episode 74 of the Concealed Taco Dudes podcast. We're here tonight enjoying ourselves in a conversation with a guest who we will introduce shortly.
Yes.
But let's pile in with Jason.
Okay, let's talk about some sponsors really quick. So we're sitting here in NOE Studios, the luxurious NOE Studios. Soundproofed now.
Yeah, except for the
refrigerator
that just turned on.
Let's let it run because I know it's really going to annoy Taco.
Yeah, let's do that.
I should have brought Henry so he'd have that nasally whine in the background all day. So anyways, NOE Bullet Molds. NOEBulletMolds.com, the finest bullet molds that you can find.
Well, and it seems to be kind of a consensus out there that they're really well known in the bullet casting circle, and I hear about them all the time online on forums.
Right.
Especially the 4570 gang.
Yeah, I bet. So also, more than just bullet molds, but pretty much any reloading materials.
True. Yeah, they're
other than I don't think they sell powder.
No.
But I think you can get brass and definitely bullets. You can get reloaders.
Yeah, Dillon dealers.
reloaders.
And if you needed to open up your own ammunition company, you could do so by saving 10% by using the code TACO10.
No, FLT001.
Whoops, that's somebody else.
Yeah.
FLT001. But check out NOE Bullet Molds. Do so, save your money.
Once you spend $1,000, you get to join this $1,000 club, and it saves you even more money on every order after that. So all you need to do is buy a Dillon press, and you're in the $1,000 club.
How come I haven't done that? I'll tell my wife how much money I'll save.
Yeah, she'll jump right on board with that. So check out NOE Bullet Molds, NOEBulletMolds.com. Utah Air Guns. Have you ever been to Utah Air Guns?
I have not. I need to be there.
You should go check it out. Well,
where do you live?
Provo Canyon.
You live Provo Canyon, you haven't been to Utah Air Guns?
Missing out.
They're in Orem.
They are. UtahAirGuns.com. I need to get in there. I'm feeling the need for another gun.
To upgrade a little bit above Taco?
No. I may be trading in my Wildcat 3.
Why?
Because there is
a Wildcat 4 now?
No, there's another gun. The only thing I don't like about it is I typically shoot from the left with a long gun because I'm left-eye dominant, and I can't do it with that because the magazine gets in the way of my cheek because it's a bullpup, and the magazine's right there. So there is the Cayman. That's what it is.
Cayman?
I don't know.
Kman.
K-Man. Yeah. Anyway, very similar design, but it's ambidextrous, so you can put the charge handle on either side, and the magazine fits flush.
It goes both ways?
It goes both ways.
All right.
That door swings both ways, Mark. And it shoots really, really nice. And it's even a little bit smaller, shorter than my FX.
So it's more your size and Carl's size.
Yeah, I can handle it easier. So anyway, I may go down there and talk about a swap or something down there. But good time of the year to pick up an air gun. I know they've got a lot of inventory down there. And if you use the code AIRCANDY, you'll get free shipping and free turret stickers for your scope.
Neat.
So check out Utah Air Guns at UtahAirGuns.com. Black Ice Coatings.
So we at Magholder have started to use the springs that Lee did.
Oh, okay.
They work better.
The Teflon-coated ones.
The Teflon-coated springs work better than the other springs.
Shocking.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because of the heat treatment. It basically increases surface hardness of the spring a little bit.
Okay.
So it's smoother and better.
Nice.
So that's just Teflon. But they also do Cerakote.
Hydro dipping.
Yep. The guy's an artist.
He really is. And if you want tears to come to your eyes the next time you look at one of your firearms, just turn it over to Lee for a little while.
Yeah.
Just like Grandma, when I gave her AR-15 a couple weeks ago, tears in her eyes.
Have you made any progress getting Grandma to come on the podcast?
I haven't talked to her yet.
Oh, gee.
But I think she will.
Grandma is amazing.
My neighbor's mother
He's got a brand new AR-15.
came to me and said, I feel like I need an AR-15. What do you think? You've come to the right place.
Sounds fun.
So she went and got the lower and everything, and then I helped her. We built her an AR, and we went to Black Ice Coatings, and she picked out this awesome rose camo pattern that had it dipped in. It was a fantastic looking rifle when it was done.
I think the ATF is going to rue the day when they go knocking on her door.
Yeah. So go check out Black Ice Coatings at blackicecoatings.com. Use the code SLICKERY. I don't know if it'll give you anything off or not, but it's fun to say.
Everybody just likes the codes.
Yep. Let's jump into listener feedback. I have it right here.
We have listeners?
Apparently, there's at least 1, 2, 3. There's at least like 6 or 7.
Cool.
I know. This listener feedback is going to take in a couple of episodes because we haven't done listener feedback for a few weeks. So this one from Ben D in Colorado, he says, in response to your thoughts on the listener feedback with the Glock 19 Gen 5, the new Gen 5 barrels are rifled, not polygonal.
Polygonal, whatever.
You can safely shoot cast loads through the new Glock Marksman barrels on the Gen 5. Okay.
That's interesting.
Good to know.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, it's a good that you can shoot cast lead, but I guess the question is...
It gives you more options to shoot other stuff safely, cast lead bullets. The polygonal rifling, whatever you want to call it, supposedly, did it build more pressure or something like that?
Well,
I can't remember on the
cast
the
loads,
scientific one
if you basically leave any leading in the bore, the pressure builds up super fast.
Yeah, but the whole principle of why you would want the polygonal barrel,
right?
What was the reasoning behind it?
Well, I think that it doesn't cut basically the bullet. It doesn't engrave the rifling into the sides. It basically deforms the whole slug. So some precision rifles, starting from a few decades ago, began to go with the polygonal rifling.
We don't know how to say it.
Supposedly some sort of accuracy advantage, but I honestly don't know the difference. I haven't taken a micrometer out and shot one.
And in a short barrel like a pistol, is it significant or not? Who knows?
Well, it was a thing, but apparently now it's not a thing.
I haven't heard anybody complain about the Gen 5s being less accurate than the previous generations, so...
I have heard people say that everything past Gen 3 was a waste, though.
As far as it wasn't really innovative?
Yeah.
I would jump on board with that. Glock has not been known for being super innovative and exciting and daring.
But they made it more easy to be ambidextrous in Gen 4. And they made the mag holders fit better in Gen 4.
And they made it so if you have ginormous hands, you can adjust the grip to fit them.
That's true.
But anybody who has regular size hands still can't hold a Glock.
So I guess we were doing listener feedback.
Oh yeah, let's get back to that. Kevin C. So we did an episode on gratitude, what we were thankful for. Was that the last episode? Might have been. I don't remember. They all run together.
I was grateful that episode was over.
Yeah. Kevin C., he gave us a list of the top 4 things that he is grateful for. He is grateful for the flexibility of the AR platform with infinite different configurations and different cartridges.
True.
Amen. The 6.8 spec 50% more energy than the 5.56 in a gun that weighs no more. It's losing popularity to the Grendel in that niche, but still a great cartridge for deer, hogs, etc.
That is a cool cartridge.
Okay, I'll believe you.
Ballistically,
You and Taco are the ballistic nuts. I just shoot whatever. He's also like the 7.62 NATO, changing cover into concealment since the 1950s. Nice.
I like that.
The M&P pistols, first pistol to offer changeable back straps. Is that true?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I believe you, Kevin C. But they did offer that, and it was nice.
I was thinking of that H&K gripper thing. Never mind.
Yeah.
PO8, no. Anyway,
He said his 1.0 is super reliable, eats anything I feed it, and is acceptably accurate. With the Apex DCAEK trigger, yeah, that's the problem with M&Ps. You got to change the trigger. Anyway, let's move
Good
on.
point.
Oh, he does have a fifth one here. The Gun Dudes and CTD podcast. I have
right.
not learned a lot, including... Oh, no, he says I have learned a lot. What would Freud say about that?
I would say they're probably accurate.
Including bullet casting, air guns, and the value of Mag 40. It was great taking Mag 40 and Mag 80 with Mass and the dudes.
Well, big time. Kevin, thanks for doing that. I actually renewed this last week. I renewed my Idaho Enhanced Carry Permit because it was about to expire.
Uh-huh.
And I was able to use Mag 40 as an entry on the application for the advanced training. What advanced training
Have you had?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
Nice.
that sails right through.
Nice. Okay. Next one. This is hello, Zach A. from Montana. I did enjoy story time with Jason a few episodes ago. Thank you very much, Zach. See, Travis, some people listen to it. It was very interesting and could be a welcome addition to the podcast now and then. My everyday
Not
carry...
every week, but now and then.
No, well, and I would agree with him on that. He says, and I asked about an everyday carry knife, what people like. I'm kind of looking for a new knife to carry. He says his everyday carry knife is a Leatherman Wave. It was heavy at first, but after 8 years of carrying it, I am lost without it and have carried it every day since. It was a gift from my then girlfriend, now wife, on Valentine's Day when I was 17. Wow.
Cool.
Congratulations.
He's a millennial.
I'm not gonna carry a Leatherman Wave.
Why not?
It's too much.
Too big?
Yeah.
But you're not part of the Benchmade cult, are you?
I have two Benchmade knives.
So you are part of the cult.
I don't know that I would say that. They're not my favorite knives that I own. Yeah. They are the most expensive, though.
Yeah, exactly.
He says, also, I love die sets for Christmas, and it is a great idea for any reloader you know. Sometimes even die sets I don't have a firearm for. That can come later. Anyway, great podcast, and I look forward to it every week. Thanks, Zach A. up in Montana.
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
Robin J. I listened to the entire podcast. Story time with Jason.
Wow.
Yeah. See that? Every bit of it, Travis. I had just read a write-up on Tombstone. I liked it. So he was in that Old West mode already after reading about Tombstone. Cool. Thanks, Robin. Dave the Satellite. This is from Dave the Satellite.
Got it.
He's like, right there with you, Taco. Bore snake after range day. Deep clean when it fails or when I'm bored. So we talked about cleaning guns. Taco doesn't think his guns need to be cleaned until they fail. Somehow. Then they need to be cleaned. I'm not quite that bad, but...
I wonder if he'd have a different thing if he was like a precision rifle guy.
Sure.
Yeah. You got to keep those bores in great shape.
Oh, yeah. All right, our last one. Scuba Guy 007.
Cool.
Sounds like an exciting life.
Daniel Craig.
He's given us his gratitude list. He says, I am thankful for my family and friends and their understanding of my gun addiction. I'm thankful for Glock because without Glocks, we would probably not have the diversity we do with polymer Wonder 9s.
That's true.
That is true. They were not the first polymer pistol, but they did make them popular.
They are ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Made them ubiquitous.
Yeah. I'm thankful for the interwebs and the fact that gun knowledge and entertainment is just a click away. I'm thankful for my freedoms living in the one of the free states in the Union. We don't know which state that is because he didn't tell us. Must be Utah. It's the only one.
Probably.
At least in the West.
Well.
Unless you go too far west.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about freedom in a little bit.
Yes, we will. I'm thankful for the miracle of modern medicine. Without it, I would have died in 1986.
Wow.
So the extra
happened?
34 years I've had so far have been the best years of my life. Awesome, Scuba Guy 007.
Yeah, true. I'd like to know the rest of that story, but
Maybe he got the bends.
that could be nitrogen narcosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for your feedback. We always appreciate it. Keep it coming so you can help keep us on track, and maybe we'll look for some more story time with Jason
Yeah.
in the near future. Just because I want Travis to turn it off when he hears
Right.
me by myself. Let's jump into the news. Now, rather than doing our typical self-defense in the news, we are going to talk about a news story that is probably on everybody's mind, at least a little bit.
It is. What we saw happen yesterday was the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms raiding the
And explosives.
explosives, raiding the Polymer 80 company
In Nevada.
in Nevada, saying that they were essentially selling, quote, ghost guns.
Right.
Now, using their own determinations and definitions, the serialized portion of a Glock firearm or a polymer pistol is basically the frame.
Right.
Now, other companies have different strategies, like SIG, the serialized portion, the actual firearm part.
The trigger mechanism.
It's the trigger
Right.
mechanism, right?
So you can change out the frames and for different sizes and whatnot. Yeah.
Yep. But what's interesting is they're kind of taking a deep dive into dismantling gun culture by stripping away parts of it that we all hold to be near and dear. So, for instance, with your AR-15, you can change pretty much whatever you want,
Right.
as long as you don't turn it into an SBR or add
Or full auto.
or full auto or something
Right.
like that. But you have, like our listener mentioned, an infinite number of combinations. You've got a Tinker Toy set that you can build however you like.
Yeah.
There is a concept called constructive possession, which means that if you have something that could be, quote, an NFA device, like an automatic weapon or a short-barreled rifle, but you have it disassembled, but then you assemble it and it can be that illegal thing.
Right.
But just because it's disassembled doesn't mean that it's no longer what the BATF thinks it is.
Okay.
So it appears...
So you can't have the components.
Yeah. So what Polymer 80 did was sell a kit that they called what, Jason?
It was a buy, build,
And
and shoot.
Right.
Yeah. So it was all the parts you needed to build basically a Glock, for the lack of
Right.
for one of their Polymer 80 guns. It included a 80% lower frame.
So you needed to...
You needed to machine and mill out the last 20% to finish the lower before you could build the gun and complete it.
Right. So what the BATF is saying here is that it is so easy to do that if you sell a kit that has everything in it necessary to have a firearm, you are essentially selling firearm. That's their argument.
That's their argument. That might be a hard one to win, I think. For one, how long have they been selling these kits?
a long
time. And why is it all of a sudden now it's a problem?
Well, there are people who say that the bureaucrat lizards and organizations, deep state organizations and all
Right.
that, without disappearing down the conspiracy rabbit hole, is that they may be emboldened by the change in the political nature and winds that are blowing right now.
Yeah.
And they may be taking advantage of the more aggressive anti-gun winds that are blowing right now
Yeah.
in politics and trying to ratchet down and carve off pieces of gun culture.
Yeah. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Polymer 80, because they don't have problem with them selling their 80% lowers as they were. And they also said there was something about they weren't paying taxes or something like that, which I think they always say that.
Yeah, they do.
Because chances are they're going to find some transaction where something got overlooked, and they'll be like, "Ha, see? I got you. You owe us 48 cents."
Yeah, there is a kind of a political message that seems to be behind this, and it seems likely, and that is the whole issue of ghost guns.
Yeah.
And, you know, a polymer 80 is something that you build. After you build it, you can't really sell it.
Can't really. You can't.
Right. It is.
I guess if you serialized it, I guess you could, but then you become a manufacturer and
A
you
gun
don't have
manufacturer, right.
You're not licensed to do that, so yeah, you can't sell those.
So the political thrust of this is that they're going to use the idea of ghost guns, which don't really exist,
Yeah.
and they're going to,
It's like assault weapons.
yeah,
What makes it an assault weapon?
right. So you no longer have the freedom to basically freely modify your own firearm. And it seems to be going down a dangerous slope wherein you would not be even able to swap components on your AR without being a gunsmith with a manufacturing license.
Interesting. I did not know that was in play here.
So what it means is, in my view, kind of the nickel tour of this disaster is that we need an effective national lobbying organization. We need power in numbers.
Second Amendment Foundation?
I agree. What we need is a non-weakened NRA,
Yeah.
and they've done it to themselves.
Yeah, they have.
But
Yeah.
even if it's hold your nose and contribute, it might mean that we have to figure out where we're going to go, what the next 4 years is going to look like.
Yeah.
And we need to get behind this and get behind these organizations and get in front of this issue.
Right.
Otherwise, we lose a lot that we never see again.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, that'll be an interesting story to keep our eyes on. We'll watch it, and this may be something that we report on periodically as we get updates and see what's going on.
Yep.
One thing I found very interesting with this story is if you do a Google search, you get CNN and you get other ones, and the stories, they read very differently. When I went into DuckDuckGo and did a search for the story, I got stories that were worded very differently.
Mm-hmm.
So the mainstream made it sound like these criminals are selling these ghost guns and
Two criminals.
Yeah. And
As though every criminal gang out there has a semi-truck full of polymer 80s.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
I would be curious to know if one has ever even been used in a crime.
It's dangerous to ask a question you don't know the answer to sometimes.
Yeah.
But I would be shocked if there were very many.
Yeah, I would be too. Anyway, just food for thought and something to keep our eyes on.
So with that cheery news,
let's hit some more sponsors real quick. Tackware.com, titanium EDC gear. You need it. We're going to talk about gear.
do you have a titanium toothpick?
I do not.
You need one.
What about a titanium grappling hook?
Don't have one of those. It looks sharp.
Do you have a tactical barbecue
Apron?
apron?
No.
Okay.
Wow. Why did we bring him here?
Yeah. Also, excellent flashlights.
Yes, that's the Artie tool. Anyway, check out Tackware at tackware.com. If you aren't following them on Instagram, you're missing out on like 50% off sales and stuff periodically. So check out Tackware at tackware.com and get some stuff coming. They do have a code. It's Taco10.
Taco10. There we go.
And if you're not putting Tackware stuff in stockings for Christmas, you're missing the boat.
Yeah, Santa's going to be sad.
Yeah, they've got awesome stuff. What's happening at Magholder?
Shimei, my wife, is
It's Mrs. Magholder.
Mrs. Magholder. I was about to cough. She's doing a bang-up job on customer service. Most orders are shipping next day, some of them same day.
Nice.
And
Are you having any issues with product being delayed getting to your customers after it leaves you?
I had a shipment that was supposed to go to New York that ended up in Miami, and then it came back to Salt Lake and was rerouted to New York.
Oh, gosh.
But that was just U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah,
Why?
because I'm experiencing some delays. which is normal this time of the year.
True.
But it's no less frustrating.
Yeah.
I had an order that I shipped to Florida, oddly enough. Priority, so it should have been there in 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
2 to 3 days. It took 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Even though it was printed on the label.
Were you following the tracking every day? Like, where did it go this time? Where's
Well,
Waldo?
just when he called me and said, "Where's my stuff?" And I'm thinking,
You should have been there 5 days ago.
Why aren't you looking at the tracking in the email that I know you got? But
It's the customer's fault, isn't it, Jason?
no, it's never the customer's fault. It's always the government's fault.
Yep.
So anyway, back to Concealment Solutions.
Yeah.
If you need stuff for Christmas, I can still have it done and shipped to you in time to get there, providing it's not being delivered by bicycle or slow old men.
Yeah.
But I can't promise
check
you
your
that.
check your tracking numbers, because sometimes it's really entertaining.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why this thing wasn't rerouted from Miami to New York.
Yeah.
It was rerouted from Miami back to Salt Lake and then New York.
Yeah.
Sometimes starting over is the best solution.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything exciting going on with you guys?
Well, we're moving to the new generation on a lot of existing models.
Okay.
So we'll be shipping the ambidextrous or swappable
Right.
left and right orientation models for the regular M&Ps and
Nice.
also the Glock, the regular Glock,
Oh, excellent.
pretty soon.
Excellent.
So-
And just so you know, if you get a mag holder, either from Mrs. Mag Holder
Or
or
from-
from Concealment Solutions, and you ordered, say, a right hand, and you get one that's marked left hand, it's probably one of the ambidextrous models. So make sure.
Good
you
point.
can probably switch the clips, so don't freak out.
Yeah, don't freak out.
But,
Call us first, then freak out.
Yeah.
Um,
Concealment Solutions.
Yeah, what about it? It's
Depending on when this gets posted,
Happy Birthday, Henry week.
we're celebrating Henry's 9th birthday. Shop dog extraordinaire. If you have ever been to the shop, he is the first one to greet you, and he greets you like you are his long-lost friend that has finally returned.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if he knows who you are or not. You get the same greeting.
And he's not intimidating at all. It's just his mouth and set of teeth coming up to love on you.
He opens his mouth, and it's like a black hole. Yeah. Anyway, 20% off.
That's a big deal.
Through Monday. So if you're listening to this on Monday, you better hurry. But I kind of gave you guys a heads up on the last episode also. But anyway, check out Concealment Solutions at concealmentsolutions.com.
What is your lead time approximately now?
It changes on a daily basis, but I am still getting stuff out in 5 to 7 business days.
That's pretty good.
Sometimes faster.
So Monday or Tuesday, maybe you could still get something
Depends
out by
on what it
Christmas.
is. If you're going to order, a drop leg for a Glock with a tactical light and red dot and stuff like that, it's probably not going to make it out by
But
then.
if you
But if you ordered,
a Cobra holster for
Yeah.
your G19, you're probably good.
yeah, those go together a lot quicker. So yeah,
Cool.
and I always do my best to get stuff out. But I'm working on an order right now. I got the Canadian Border Services contacted me and we're looking for some samples for inside the way. So the CS1, which is used to be the Black Mamba,
Right.
now it's the CS1. Long story there, but
Long litigious story there.
they wanted a few. We want 15 of them, 10 right hand, 5 left hand, to try out with our agents or whatever they call them, our mounties. I don't know what they got.
Right.
For this program that we're doing, whatever, and what can you do for me? And said, okay, I can get you these for this much. They've bumped their order. I'm up to 30 now, and I'm just haven't finished them yet. They keep raising their order, which is kind of screwing with my time frame of getting other stuff out. But
Do they have like the maple leaf insignia on them?
nope. They just have my
You withdraw your gun and it starts playing "Oh Canada."
yeah, that's it. But anyway, I don't know why the Canadian Border Services are just going inside the waistband, but
They're
are.
probably trying to gear up for the the rush on their border, on their southern border, from gun owners.
Yeah. Why it's not any better up there? Anyway, that's where I'm at. If you need anything, shoot me an email, call me.
Oh, and our
I can
codes.
help you out.
Mag holder, get in the van, I have candy.
Yeah.
And
Well, mine is show me the candy, but right now you're saving 5% more than that
With
just
Henry.
with Henry's sale. So
okay.
you can thank Henry for that. He's the most photogenic one in our family. Did you know that? Hands down. Anyway, let's jump into our topic. We have with us today Kyle Patton.
I can't believe
You probably don't know who that is.
I didn't hear any bells and whistles.
if you don't know who he is, you will, but you should.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a long time and just kind of getting everything in place and the right timing and everything is finally happening. We're going to talk about bug-out vehicles. No, we already talked about Porter Rockwell. Bug-out vehicles. We've mentioned vehicle stuff in the past on other shows, kind of in passing, but I wanted to talk more in detail because, you know, in this culture we talk about bugging out, right? Oh, when everything goes to crap, I'm bugging out and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. If you don't have the right vehicle, depending on where you live and what's going on and what you're trying to get away from, you might be screwed.
You're going to be sitting on a corner downtown with your tactile backpack all strapped up and waiting for your Uber.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What got me kind of thinking about it in depth, you know, we are here in Utah and we had, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, just a big storm. It was a long storm or a long series of storms, and so the roads weren't getting cleared quite as well as they normally do, at least the side roads and stuff like that. And I had to go somewhere in the wife's minivan, and it just wasn't going. There was like 1.5 feet of snow
Plowing.
on the road, so I'm kind of pushing it with the front bumper, and just it took me like 15 minutes just to get off my street down. You know, once you got on the main roads, everything was good, but it got me thinking. And my other option at the time was a two-wheel drive pickup truck, which was even more worthless. So I got thinking about, well, what do I need if I have to get out? I have locations that I can go to. If I need to bug out and get into the hills, I got places I can go. But I got to be able to get there. And if we have a natural disaster or other kinds of things happening where we got to get out of town, and it's wintertime and it's snowing, which may be part of the natural disaster, the snowplows aren't going to be running.
True.
You know, they're going to be doing the same thing you are, trying to get out of town. Maybe they throw all their kids and everything in the dump truck or the plow, and that's how they get out. It wouldn't be a bad idea. But so for the last few years, I've been looking for a four-wheel drive, also so I can get up to go ski without risking my life in the minivan. And so we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what to have in your vehicle on regular, kind of your EDC for your vehicle.
I think that's really important. I'm going to be on a road trip next week that's going to cover Salt Lake City, central and northern Wyoming, coming back through southern Montana. And so I'm going to be all over the place.
In the wintertime.
Yeah, in the
December,
wintertime. So I realize I am not prepared in my vehicle.
Okay.
So.
And the reason we have Kyle here, Kyle has got extensive experience in the overlanding world. So
What does that mean?
tell us a little bit about what you've done and some of the vehicles that you have now and what you like about them and why.
Perfect. So it seems like just yesterday I was part of a group that called itself Profits Cruisers. And they moved from Colorado to Salt Lake. They were out at the Miller Motor Sports Park. And Profits Cruisers dedicated themselves to restoring Toyota Land Cruisers.
Awesome.
Cool.
And a lot of these people that love Toyota Land Cruisers, as they were restoring or rebuilding their Land Cruiser, wanted to perhaps build it up a little bit and build a vehicle that was a little bit better adapted to going places that normal cars don't get to.
Right.
So, like, extreme locations.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And along that journey with Profits Cruisers, I became involved with a group that began to think about perhaps longer trips in overlanding. And there was a particular event or a particular activity that had never been done before that this group wanted to try to conquer. And that was to build a vehicle or to build up a vehicle that would eventually go across or beyond all 7 continents. And they chose a Toyota Land Cruiser as the platform.
Not a bad choice.
Good choice, a great choice.
Why is it a great choice?
Toyota happens to be global, and the support for the Toyota Land Cruiser can be found in almost every remote corner of the world.
Yeah.
Literally.
You look at footage of the guys out in the African bush on safari and whatever. Half the time they're on Land Cruisers and
you look at the gun camera video from the A-10 Warthogs in Afghanistan. They're shooting up.
Yeah.
Toyota Land Cruisers.
Yeah. Actually, there's a good story about that. So let me continue this journey. So that particular group, that particular adventure was called Expedition 7, 7 being the 7 continents.
Okay.
And it ended up that we did complete the goal of putting the same vehicle on or across all 7 continents.
So you basically drove around the world?
Yeah, I was a part of 5 continents and planning of the 7.
Wow.
And once that was completed, essentially the same team, the same group did a south to north to south across Greenland, which had not been done before.
That's some interesting terrain to have to get through.
So that was what I'm going to call perhaps an extreme overlanding vehicle. That was a Toyota Hilux AT44 that was built up.
Yeah.
So all these vehicles that we're talking about can be seen on the website Expedition7.
Okay, cool.
And so that really got me into thinking about overlanding, and literally my job was to help build these vehicles up or provide the items inside the vehicle that would make these journeys possible. And just to give you a little bit of information about some of those legs of the journey, in Australia there's a route called the Canning Stock route, and it is 1,200 miles unsupported, no water, no fuel. You have to literally carry.
Oh man.
Yeah, you have to make sure that
you have to have a gas truck following you.
We did have a gas truck. At that particular time, that one was given the nickname Sherpa 2 because it lugged all the gear, all the stuff we needed.
Wow.
And so that really is how I got into overlanding, from Profits Cruisers, learning how to build up the vehicle and get the appropriate things on the vehicle, or make sure the vehicle is robust enough to make that work. And then additionally thinking about all the logistics of what you need to take, or what might be there's a limited amount of space. You have to really think about what it is you need and what's the priority.
It's kind of like going backpacking, or in my case, bike packing. It's like you have to be selective. Do I really need to bring that? Because I don't have the space, I don't want the weight, things like that. And after you get out and you get some experience, you pare your kit down to where you've got just the right amount of stuff. And I imagine what you're talking about with your vehicle is exactly the same way. You can't bring everything that you would maybe want to, but you learn what's important and what isn't.
Correct. Yeah, and there's different levels of overlanding. There might be somebody that wants to really experience all the back roads and the areas around the Intermountain West, Utah, for example, or something like that. And then there might be somebody that wants to do something a little bit more extensive and build a rig that gets from here to Alaska on something other than a highway.
Okay, yeah.
And then there's other people that might want to go even more international. They might want to do the Pan American on a road from Ushuaia, Argentina to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, or something, right?
Right.
I actually have a not really friend, but acquaintances and people that follow on social media. They're doing that now. They're down in somewhere, well south of Panama, and it's really exciting. But it's totally incomprehensible to me, a guy who's used to a rest stop every 40 miles on the highway. How do you do this?
Yeah, so it takes a lot of planning. And so my overall theory of this whole concept is that if you wait and plan until you have every detail covered, until you have your vehicle 100% finished, you'll never go.
Yep.
It's kind of like having kids. You know? If you're ready to have kids, you will have missed the opportunity.
Yeah.
And my theory is just to make sure you have something mechanically sound, make sure that you do your due diligence and figure out what you really need to take with you and make it happen. And there's so much online right now about people that have done this, and there's different ways to prepare your life for it. Preparing your life and your person is kind of separate from preparing your vehicle, right? There are people that sell their homes and make this happen, take their families, and then come back knowing they can rebuy a home or get another job. And there are other people that kind of plan their lives so they can take their job on the road with them and just make this happen as they work and play together.
Kind of the van life mentality or whatever.
So these people that I was talking about, have you ever heard Andrew Muse?
I have not.
He's the guy that they shoot a lot of the video that they have at Maverick gas stations.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all the weird, cool
Yeah.
GoPro video of climbing up things, and they got this really cool dog that goes with them. But they built this basically truck / camper, and it looks like they've got multiple $100,000 in this thing, and it's incredible. But what motivates people to do this?
I think there's a term in German. It's called Fernweh, and it's more of I don't know if there's a definition. It's more of a feeling. Is what is around the corner.
Farvig Nugan.
It's wanderlust.
Exactly, wanderlust, right?
Yep.
And that really is I think the common thread that all these different people that do this have. It's just this feeling of adventure or what's around the corner, and that corner can be someplace in your just right outside your town. It doesn't need to be 3,000 miles away.
There's a great series, I think it's on Netflix, called Expedition Overland, and I know you know those guys. You taught them everything they know, right?
Well, Clay was on some of these journeys with me, and he and I had a discussion a little bit as he started his first adventure south of the border of how to get across some borders and what to take and what kind of things are important to make that successful.
Yeah.
Do you consider local politics and cartels and drug lords and stuff in your planning?
Yeah. So this is my theory. You can read a lot of stories about bad things that happen, but I'm a firm believer that if you put yourself in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, that you really minimize your risk.
Yeah.
If some of those get out of whack or you're doing the wrong thing at the right time in the right place, that increases your danger. And so I think really as you plan a trip, even someplace close, you want to just make sure that you keep those three things in mind. There's a difference of, going through Guatemala City at noon, going someplace you should be versus going there at 1 o'clock in the morning to a discotheque or something like that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so you really just want to minimize your risk. The second thing I always like to think about is knowing that there's going to be mishaps, or perhaps somebody stops you and wants a bribe, police or whoever that is. If you go into the situation thinking that that is unjust and it's not right, and if you think that there's no way that should happen because you're an American, etc., you're probably going to have a poor reaction, and that might escalate.
Yeah.
I kind of look at it as...
That's their culture, first of all.
Yeah, I know it's going to happen. To me, it's a game. I have a smile on my face. They might start at 100, and I'm going to see if I can get down to 5. Or as long as I'm safe, and there are things you can do to make yourself safer in that situation. But I just, it's all about reducing the risk and accepting different cultures and customs and putting a smile on your face and dealing with it rather than pushing against it.
Yeah.
That's probably an incredibly deep concept that should be obvious.
Yeah.
But, there's so much of our lives today that we could learn from that simple concept.
Yeah.
It's like...
You can't push your culture onto another. When you're in their place, you're in their home, it's their culture, and your culture doesn't matter anymore. You got to play by their rules, and
I think it's one thing. It's also just being a gracious guest in their country, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you make them feel comfortable, and don't try to push what you think or know or how things should work
Yeah.
onto them.
So this would be the same if you were in Sonora, Mexico, or downtown Portland.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I travel to Portland and Seattle, and, I've done visits to customer sites that are absolutely one wall of the, quote, occupied zone in these cities. So I think you're very right about your attitude while you're there. It either makes you a target or makes you invisible.
Yep.
Let's get into bug out vehicles, which is a little bit different than the overlanding and stuff like that, but I think there's a lot of crossover also, because if you're bugging out, you're set up for a long trip, hopefully. And I think a lot of the stuff is gonna play into that. But first of all, the vehicle. I think every situation is going to be different, and not everybody's going to be able to be like, well, I'm going to go buy the tricked out Land Cruiser that's going to get me to Panama or Bolivia if I need to, and so don't feel like, oh, that's what I got to have.
And if I'm in Portland, I probably don't need an MRAP either.
Right. So I think, starting off, you got to just work with what you got. And if it's not adequate, work towards getting something that is, or making it adequate. For us here in Utah, I think four-wheel drive, or at least all-wheel drive, is important.
I would say it was a prerequisite.
Yeah.
If you really want to have a bug-out vehicle,
Yeah.
and you think that you might not know what the conditions will be, where
Yeah.
you need to go, when you need to go.
Yeah.
So
We're supposed to have some massive earthquake 10 years ago along the Wasatch Front. It could be the middle of the summer, and if we have a massive earthquake that breaks up the highways and stuff like that, you may need the four-wheel drive just to crawl out of the neighborhood. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I think that's important regardless, More important, I think, if you live in a climate like ours where you do have snow, it makes a big difference. But even if you lived in Florida, if the roads are blocked and you got to go overlanding to get around an obstacle, you're not going to get very far in the swamps and the bogs that are out there. So
if I get a snorkel for my Subaru, I'm good, right?
yeah.
you know,
So really, another thing with a four-wheel drive is it has a little bit of clearance.
Yeah.
And that is really important. It doesn't, even if you're in the city and you had to go over just, a cement curb or something like that, that makes a big difference to have a few extra inches. And I'm not talking it needs to be 3 feet lifted or something, but
Yeah.
it just needs to have a little bit of clearance is a very good thing.
Yeah. Well, Mark and I were talking a week or so ago kind of about this show coming up. You've got a Forester, is that right?
Yeah.
And we talked about putting a lift kit on it and
Yeah.
some Meteor tires. You know how many I've seen Subarus like that? And they look awesome. And it just makes them that much more
Capable.
That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
There's one just down the street from where I live, and I love how he's got not super aggressive tires, but a good all-terrain tire on it. It's lifted a little bit. He's got a roof rack with a light bar on it,
Yeah.
and his spare tire with the same tire that all the others are on sits in that roof rack. And I went, that guy will be able to get around pretty much anywhere that he needs to without getting crazy off-road. I saw...
So can my Subaru be my poop hits the fan vehicle?
Yeah, if you were to get online and look up cool Subaru kits in Japan or Eastern Russia, they have them, and you're set.
Wow.
Yeah, it comes as a kit.
Neat.
Wow. It comes in a box and you just modify your
Yeah.
Subaru out of the box.
I've seen plenty of Subaru Foresters that would serve great for bug-out vehicles.
Awesome.
Neat. It'd
So-
be my ghost car, come as a kit.
I've even seen them with snorkels.
Awesome.
Cool. So let's talk about what do you have in your vehicle? Are there things that you guys have in your vehicles just on a day-to-day basis that maybe other people don't, that makes your life better either with or without a disaster?
So in one of my Land Cruisers in the back, I have a 5-gallon bucket.
In case you got to poop?
No. No liners.
It doesn't have a toilet seat
No.
on it. Oh.
No, but that bucket has what I would consider the essentials.
Okay.
For depending on the trip, I'll add to it, right?
Right.
But in there, I have small recovery kit. What is that? For me, that has a strap, and it has a pulley for winching purposes.
When you say recovery kit, you're talking you get out somewhere and your vehicle gets stuck, either in a snowbank or in the mud or
Correct.
something. Okay.
So recovery kits vary, but a good recovery kit's going to have a tow strap, some heavy duty, what I'm call D shackles, or some shackles that you can hook or attach under your car, hook the tow strap to it, to some safe point, a tow point, and then also a pulley, something that it's amazing how many people have winches on their vehicles, right?
Mhm.
I'm not saying that you need a winch on your vehicle, but
Right.
that is something that comes in handy more often than not. And so that is really, a good pair of leather gloves, that's a
Yep.
good recovery kit.
Yeah.
Is that like a come along kind of thing too, or?
So you can have a manual come along winch that will work, but there are a lot of people that will add an electronic winch to their vehicle.
Right.
I don't know if that's necessarily needed. It's an advantage to have one, but
Right.
there's other
So-
things I'd put on the list first
Yeah.
before that.
And when we were talking just before we started recording, I was telling you, even when I was driving my two-wheel drive pickup truck, I always had a tow strap in it. Not because I felt like I was going to pull somebody out of a ditch and tow them away, because that truck wouldn't do it, but they were going to pull me out. You know, if I got stuck in a ditch or in a snowbank or something, and somebody came along with a vehicle that could, they probably weren't going to have a tow strap, but I did.
So this is a real thing. There are people that have what I'm going to call a bug out vehicle, that
Uh-huh.
when it's snowy and stormy, they actually go out searching for people to help.
Yeah,
Really?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. So part of the story, part of the history of my journey into this arena is I was one of the first people that started what is known as the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum in downtown Salt Lake.
Which I still need a tour.
Anytime,
Okay.
anytime.
I've looked at their website and it's amazing.
So a lot of these people, I met a lot of people while working there that are like thinkers and really love to talk about these type of vehicles, and they really put a lot of time into thinking, just like you two are with guns. They
Mhm.
put as much effort and time into thinking about vehicles.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And so I literally, every time it snowed, I knew that I would get more people coming to the museum as they were out driving around the city looking for people to come. They would just stop by. And I met a lot of people that had their tow strappers, right? They just literally get in their Land Cruiser or their vehicle and go look to assist people.
It's a
Nice.
good way to make chicks too.
I don't know. I don't know if that's if I heard any romance.
Another thing that I always carried, and so listeners know, I've recently just bought a Toyota 4Runner, an older one, and I'm still kind of setting it up. But even in my T100, which I was driving, I always had a snow shovel, like an avalanche shovel,
Yeah.
that just lived behind the seat. And a couple of times I had to dig myself out, but more times than not, I was digging other people out that I came across that were stuck in the snow. So I think a good shovel, and that's not necessarily a good shovel, that was just something I had already, but
Something light, maximize space
yeah,
for what it did.
one of the shorter, like mid-size handled shovels, I think are great to have, or at the very least, like a trenching tool that the military used to use. It has that little spade, and you can set it on an angle so you can kind of cut and chop with it.
There are some amazing shovels. I was pretty heavily for a few years into backcountry skiing, and if you go to REI or Black Diamond or someplace, you can get shovels that are incredibly light and they're like full size.
Yeah.
Really is a better tool if you have to use it.
The only problem with those, because that's what I have, it's a Voila, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
They're aluminum, so so real, like if you had to dig in the dirt or the mud or something like that, they wouldn't hold up very
They're
well.
great for snow.
They're great for snow.
And not if you're scraping on concrete.
until you hit the pavement underneath.
Right.
Mine's got lots of wear on it from that.
Yeah, so I'm not a proponent. I'm not here to suggest that there are particular products that or name brands that are awesome. But
Right.
there's a product out there called Max Trax.
Yes.
And they have competitors, but that particular item, I would recommend would be one of the first things that I would put in my vehicle, maybe even more than a shovel.
Okay.
Are these the tracks that you lay out to drive up out of something? Or
Correct.
They're also
Cool.
referred to as recovery boards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are, I would put that as maybe number one over a shovel or a winch. Or
Well, you can use them as a shovel.
Exactly, right?
So
they
maybe an awkward shovel, but still.
There was a time in the middle of Australia on that canning stock route where we had 3 of our 4 vehicles stuck up to above the bottom of the doors in water and mud.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
And we had roughly 20 of those max tracks, and I can tell you that after nearly every winch or winch strap that we had broke, it was only by the max tracks that we got out, and they're amazing.
Did you recover them all?
There's 2 still left in,
I was going to say.
in Australia.
that same hole.
Yeah. And we would have found them, but there were these little critters in the water that would bite and draw blood that we couldn't get. They were annoying, so we stopped looking after a while. So
What do you think? So I've seen some of recovery boards or whatever that are very different. So the max tracks and the ones like it are basically like a 3 to 4 foot long rigid board that's got spikes and stuff sticking out of it.
that are
Give
rough
you-
on one side,
Yeah,
smooth on the other, stackable.
yeah. Give you traction when you're stuck in something.
Correct.
I've seen a product out there that is made to do the same thing, but they roll up. Have you used?
Have not used the roll-up ones. Being rigid serves a great thing.
And that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, so in most instances that I've used them, the rigidness has come in handy. You could not only, they're meant to be used lengthwise behind or in front of your tire, but I've actually been stuck in ruts so deep where with the aid of a jack, we've lifted the tire up out of the rut and put those sideways under the tire.
I bridging the hole.
Exactly, and actually made a bridge of max tracks to get out. So
It sounds
So those
pretty
things
like
are-
a tough product.
Yeah. Huh.
yeah, so that's
Cool.
just a name brand of one of the many products.
Right.
So
There's. I was actually looking at those on Amazon the other day, and there's a bajillion of
Yeah.
them, and the prices vary as much as the product does. So I don't know what the big difference is between a $90 set versus a $300 set, but I'm sure there's differences with the price. But
So would you kind of point us towards the brand Max Tracks?
yeah, those are the ones that I have been most familiar with. They have been on many continents with me. I've used them tens of times,
Cool.
and it's always the first thing really to use, that and a good jack. So in the back of that 5-gallon bucket I have an adequate jack. When I say adequate, sometimes if you lift your vehicle, it changes the geometry underneath when you want to use the jack that comes with your vehicle.
Right.
So you need to make sure that you have a jack that is up to the task lengthwise
So-
or height-wise.
what kind of jack are you using that fits in that bucket? Because most of the time with the overlanding crowd, you see those big, long, like farm jacks that.
A high lift jack is
Yeah,
the problem.
high lift jack.
Yeah, right. So I have high lift jacks. I enjoy them. They're awesome because if you have an armored bumper or high lift sells a lot of straps that will hook into wheels or around tires. You can put those in mud upside down. You can do a lot of things with them. You can actually use it with a cable as a winch horizontally,
Oh,
kind of.
kind of.
Does that make
a
sense?
come
If you can-
along.
yes, exactly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but if I don't like that rattling inside my vehicle, I have another vehicle that's on the outside. I don't like to leave them out in the weather, so I take those.
They don't live on your vehicles. Those.
Yeah, I don't.
When you're, if you,
When you need them, you don't want it to be rusty and weathered and not work.
So
or
when-
would be
when-
dangerous.
we had the fire that you guys were evacuated for recently. Was that one of the things you
Yes.
grabbed and threw in? Okay,
Yes.
that's good.
It was in my vehicle. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a oversized scissor jack,
Oh, okay.
and
That I imagine is a bit stouter than
Correct.
what comes with the vehicle
Correct.
from the factory.
correct. And I have another thing that I have in the back of my vehicle are just a few wood blocks, either put under.
Oh
or,
yeah.
And they come in real handy. Also to chalk tires if you're at some place where there's not a rock in sight.
And a lot of those recovery boards that I've noticed have a place on them for a jack.
Yep.
So that you
A platform for
Yeah.
the jack.
Because you'll
Yeah.
lose it in the mud more often than not, or in the snow.
Yeah.
So you do need something under there to put it
Okay.
on.
What else? What other kind of gear?
So this is often overlooked, but
Okay.
water and food.
Yep.
Okay, so
For sure.
I've been in a position where that water and food has come in handy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much is too much, but some water and some food is.
So, yeah.
Are you thinking like MRE or just a bunch of candy bars or
Some power bars or some nutrition
Yeah.
bars or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what I focus on mostly. I've got a few things like that I just threw in the glove box. And then just a couple days ago, water. And I was thinking, do I just go buy a case and just leave it sitting in the back? And I don't want that always in the way. And so I bought, they were the perfect size. I think they're about a liter each, maybe a little bit bigger. And they fit in the doors that are made to carry water bottles. And the passenger doors will carry 2 each. So I thought, oh, that's perfect. I'll just drop them in there. They'll never be in the way unless, I got a kid sitting back there that after bike practice wants to stick a bottle in there, then they won't have
Yeah.
anywhere to put it. But that's the least of my worries. So I agree. I've been in a situation where I broke down out in the middle of nowhere and had more or less nothing, and I knew better. But I was in a new vehicle. I had only had it for 2 weeks and I hadn't outfitted it yet. So I don't have that vehicle anymore.
So another thing that's often overlooked is a good light source, and I prefer not to have one in my hand. I have a headlight that I keep in my vehicle that at this point is actually rechargeable. I can just recharge it from
Okay.
from my
USB
vehicle.
charger?
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
So I just found there's 2 different ones of these, and I texted them to all you guys
Yeah.
when I saw them.
The bar thing.
Yeah, at Lowe's they have, it's probably about a 4 by 5 inch square. It's maybe an inch thick, so it's a flat thing, and it's got an LED light in it. I think it's Craftsman is the brand. 1,000 lumens, and it runs off of 4 AA batteries, and it's got a little kickstand that swings out the back of it. So if you're changing a tire or something like that in
Yeah.
the dark, pull that out. And it's super small. It doesn't take up hardly any space. I was just at Costco today. They have basically the exact same thing. They're Duracell. They're only 600 lumens, which is still plenty
That's
bright.
a lot of lumens.
But they had 3 of them for the same price, $15. So I bought a pack of those, and those are going in all the vehicles that we have.
You were
just in
talking
case.
about like a wearable headband, kind of
Yeah.
like
it-
for spelunking, right?
Yeah. So I found that you want to have your hands free, and a lot of times
Yeah.
when you're in front of the vehicle trying to hook up a rope underneath the vehicle or a strap, the one that might sit on the ground that you have to carry around, well, you might be in water or you might be.
True.
So I found that the one that is on my head has been very handy when
Yeah.
I'm looking in engine compartments or trying to find the
Yeah.
Red Bull in the back of my truck in the middle of the night or something.
No, I totally agree. I have the smallest little Petzl headlamp that I've ever seen that sits in my front console in my car also. You can't have too many lights.
So we should maybe check out, the light guys.
Oh, Tackware.
Yeah,
They've got some good, their
They may have
flashlights are
something
awesome.
like this, right?
Yeah, for sure. Their little 100 lumen flashlight. What's really cool about that, and people, I think, get a little too nuts about lumens.
Yeah,
100 lumens in the dark, if you're, like you said, looking in the engine compartment or whatever, you're going to see what you need to see. And the cool thing about that little one, I can't remember what they call it, but it's tackware.com. It's their smallest one. The pocket clip will fit on the visor of a hat, so it'll work like a headlamp. So it's
Cool.
kind of a dual purpose. Pretty cool.
So another thing that I make sure I have in my vehicle is a simple toolkit. I don't
Yep.
need every single tool that I might have at home, but I do need just some essentials that I know that are going to work with my vehicle. The right size sockets, the right size,
Yeah.
whatever that is. That just
The right
like-
size vice grips.
Yeah, I'm not anticipating doing a major repair.
Right.
But there are some things that have happened that we've been able to take care of just with some basic tools.
Yeah.
And that-
So one of the things that we've recommended in the past, and I'm curious to know your reaction to this. So I am a proponent of, I'm not much of a mechanic. I have done a little bit, and I'm not scared to get in there, but I usually ruin things. So I don't have super expensive tools because I don't use them that much, and I don't really need them. And again, the reason I carry tools in my vehicle is not so I can fix a problem when I have. It's so when the guy that stops say, "Hey, do you need a hand?"
Somebody
Do you
with
know how to
hand
use
is
this? But there are kits that you can get at Harbor Freight. They have like a 150-piece toolkit that I always get coupons for like $30. It's got sockets, it's got open-end wrenches, it's got hammer, pliers, screwdrivers, all that stuff. Granted, not the highest quality stuff, and I know that, but to have something in my vehicle just in case, I feel like that's gonna get me by. What's your take on that?
Could you educate him on this, please?
So I worked at Profits Cruisers with mechanics that had tools
Oh yeah, Snap-on and
that were very
yeah.
awesome.
$150.
And I can see in that
ratchet.
particular situation where you're using that tool every day over and over, you would want to make sure you had something that was
Absolutely.
durable, right?
Absolutely.
But
Warranty.
I'm not opposed to having something what I'm going to call a one-time use.
Yeah, and
kind
that's
of a
kind of how I
situation,
feel
right?
about those.
And so I'm good with that. I think it's a good solution for something to it's affordable.
Yeah,
That is something
And it-
that you use all the time. That's kind of a backup to it, you know.
and it's better than not having anything.
Yep.
It's kind of like I hear these people turn their noses up at you carry an LCP, you carry a little 380, and it's like, it's better than a sharp stick, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of that same mentality. And I've had the toolkit that I carry has come in handy, like my daughter was moving and, hey, I need this moved or take this off or put this together or whatever, and she doesn't have any tools. Go out to the truck and toolkit's got the basics to
What about the
do it.
ones that try to do everything, like the wrench that'll fit like 5 different sizes, and
I lean against those.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like anything.
It's a gimmick.
Anything that's made to do everything won't do any of it very well.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I have in my 5-gallon bucket. I have a couple other little zip ties. Believe it or
Oh,
not,
yeah.
zip ties have repaired my vehicle more than once.
What about
Go back to Edwards Air Force Base in the 50s. You got baling wire and duct tape.
Yeah.
That's it. I have a roll of duct tape in that same bucket.
yeah,
too, so.
yep. Baling wire. I'm a fan of having baling wire or stainless steel wire. Also a paracord, 550 cord. I don't know if you've ever used that much, but
You can wrap the handles of your tools with it.
I just wrapped my steering wheel with it.
You did? I got to see this. You got to put that on Instagram.
It was a pain in the butt, and I'm not convinced it's going to hold, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, so that's something that simple is going to get you out of most of the situations or help you get through most of the situations
Yeah.
that you're going to come across.
And the thing, like we've talked about in prepping, the stuff that you do to prep for the worst case scenario should make things in your life easier or better, even if that worst case scenario doesn't happen. So having that stuff in your vehicle now, even if the world isn't going to end tomorrow, you may get stranded out somewhere and be glad that you've got a bottle of water and a granola bar that you can eat while you're waiting for traffic to start moving again, or glad that bucket's there because you really got to go.
So I didn't include plastic liners with my bucket.
Maybe you should consider that.
But there is a roll of toilet paper in there.
Well,
but-
there's that trailer hitch one,
yeah.
The toilet seat
Toilet seat
hangs
on the
off.
trailer.
I'm a big fan of that.
Once again, I think a little bit of preparation, making sure you're in the right place, right time, doing the right thing. And I would suggest that if you're going to go, if you have a chance, an opportunity, always go with somebody, another vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to minimize the issues immensely. If your car breaks down or there's something that's not recoverable or repairable, there's a way to get out. So that's something that I would suggest. Or if you go by yourself, make sure that people know exactly where you're going to be and when you're going to be there.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
What
Sure.
Have you been in a situation where you needed to deal with hostiles, basically, in any one of the 7 continents? Did you ever need to pull out your M242?
So here's the crazy thing. As the original sessions of planning came about, that was a very important question. What kind of weapons can you take, should you take? And we found out very quickly that any type of a firearm was something that was not going to work anywhere, right? And so actually there were some of these vehicles that had what I'm going to call hidden compartments, so you could put money or et cetera in there. None of these would probably stand up to what I'm going to call a really good x-ray machine.
Right.
But in 99% of the places you're going to be, there's not really good x-rays machines. Right? Usually the best machine they had was a dog that could sniff or something, right?
Yeah.
So.
And they're not looking for tools.
Yeah, so knives even in some places are greatly frowned upon. So we made this 7-continent journey happen with literally no, what I'm going to call legitimate weapons at all. Like I think that there was a gentleman on your feedback that talked about the wave. That might have been the biggest blade that there was on these trips.
So you never had a machete or?
Oh, there was a machete, but we used that for cutting wood.
Well, yeah.
But it was always stuck in the back of the supply vehicle and really hard to get to, right?
Okay.
And so once again, we put more effort into planning to minimize the risk and ensuring these opportunities not happen.
Right.
So we most of the time there were either 2 or 3 or 4 vehicles in a caravan, and if there ever was a time when there were trees blocking the road, we made sure that there were 2-meter radios in the vehicles. We could communicate very well. All the vehicles had LED lights on 6 corners of the top, and there were flashers, etc. So we had great ways to draw attention to ourselves, and most of these people don't like to have that kind of attention drawn to themselves. So there were times, to answer your question, yes, there were. It's amazing what some shiny stickers and pins and some cigarettes and things will do to get you out of those situations. So
cool.
Remain calm, put a smile on your face, be smart.
Learn to barter.
Yeah, there's a lot of tricks with that, right? So if you're international, you want to make sure that when they say, show me your passport, you're not handing over your passport. It might be a photocopy of what they need to see. Or when they say, the window's never all the way rolled down, it's just open that much so they can't get their arms in there and do things to you. And so there's a lot of things you might talk about, but that's, most people are just worrying how to get to South Utah to enjoy the Canyonlands or something.
Right.
So if I'm going to be next week, I'm going to be in, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. Would you, if you're near home, do you have a weapon in your car?
Yes.
Or hypothetically.
He should, because I sold him one.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Yes. I've actually had more, this is odd, but I've actually felt more at risk and had situations close to home that would cause me more stress than anywhere internationally.
Is that because you're more familiar and likely to push the envelope of what is right place, right time, right?
No, I might be in a place.
It's just your neighborhood.
So I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know what the Provo Canyon is. I don't know the right answer to that, other than I have had people that have been more aggressive.
Okay.
In campgrounds or due to alcohol or something else here in the United States than I have anywhere else. So.
Interesting. So I think to wrap things up and to give one last thought for people, I think in regards to setting up your vehicle, whatever it may be, as a bug out or whatever, I think the things to have in your vehicle on a regular basis, I kind of look at my vehicle as, you have your bug out bag, right? And you have what is often referred to as a get home bag. Mm-hmm. So my vehicle I want it set up as basically my get home bag. So it's going to have a lot of the stuff that you talked about, Kyle, some extra food, extra water. I may have an extra pair of shoes in there, maybe a change of clothes or something like that. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been somewhere, ripped your pants or spilled something or whatever, and we're like, man, I wish I could change, something like that. So just, I say to get your vehicle set up, think about those things, think about scenarios that could happen. What if I'm coming home from work and there's a major accident on the freeway and I just passed the last off ramp, and I'm sitting there for 3 hours. What do you wish you had with you?
That toilet.
Yeah.
5-gallon bucket. I'm gonna have to change my 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few things we haven't really discussed really quickly. Fuel.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So if you're in I had this awesome sticker on my Land Cruiser that was from Profits Cruisers, and it was the Apocalypse vehicle, right?
Uh-huh.
And that sticker had this fuel can. It was awesome. Like, I think without fuel, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So a way to carry fuel is important, or a hose to siphon with. And they make some...
To steal it from other people.
That's what your weapon's for, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to worry about fuel. You're not getting very far.
True.
Usually these vehicles that are built for truly bugging out, the gas mileage is horrible.
Right.
And so you're not going to be, your range isn't that much. A lot of people will put a extended fuel tank or some way to carry more fuel. Fuel's important.
Mm-hmm.
Don't run around on empty.
Correct. Right?
Yeah.
I was... Literally, if you're thinking about a bug out vehicle, you're not going to let that thing under half tank very often. You're going to
Yeah.
be a little bit more cognitive of the fuel gauge and fill it up. So, and then you want to make sure that you have, like I said, a simple thing to siphon with. That's come in handy multiple times. They make these, there's different varieties, right?
The one that's got the little ball valve.
Exactly.
That you
So
shake.
you don't end up with a
You don't-
mouthful of gas.
Yeah, you just done, right? I don't.
I've got one for our water barrels,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And then you don't want to go overboard. So we haven't even. If there's a line you can cross where you start having. You might have an extra shock, an extra fuel cap, an extra. You might have too much, right? I like to keep some simple things, a few fuses, but unless you're really planning on something where you're going to be where there's no support and you're the only vehicle that's going to be there, then I would start worrying about replacement parts. But other than that, I wouldn't. Just keep it simple, right? You don't want the more weight you carry, the less room, the less fuel economy, the worse fuel economy you'll get, and the less room you have for other fun stuff like your skis or your whatever.
Yeah.
Probably maintenance is a good thing to do.
Yeah. So on your vehicle, I'd rather have a well-maintained vehicle that I can rely on. One that it might have a few faults, but I know about them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And yeah, I wouldn't. So maintenance to me is more important, or something that runs well is more important than looks, right? If I had to spend $500 on a snorkel versus making sure it ran really great,
Yeah.
I'm not spending on a snorkel.
So tell us, what are you driving now? What's your vehicle of choice?
So I have a hard decision to make every day. I have a 1989 Toyota Land Cruiser, an FJ62, that has been built up to go overlanding. It has a rooftop tent. It has an air compressor under the hood. It has a way to heat water up so I can take a warm shower once in a while. It has lights and bigger tires and a little lift and hard bumpers and some rock sliders, and it's
Nice.
fun. It's one of those vehicles where I can go 80 miles an hour on the highway and get someplace kind of comfortably. I might have, if it's really long, I might have to get kidney help with it.
You bounce your kidney stones out.
Yeah. And then it goes off-roading, and it will do 80% of, it does a lot of things. It might not do the most extreme stuff you find in Moab,
Right.
but I love driving it.
But it's set up for overlanding, not necessarily rock crawling.
Correct.
Yeah.
But in a pinch, it can do a little
It
crawling.
can do some crawling.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just recently, we have acquired a 1985 FJ73 Land Cruiser, which is right-hand drive from Australia. And this is the Land Cruiser that replaced what here is known as the FJ40, the classic Land Cruiser that everybody knows.
The more or less Jeep style.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a shorter wheelbase. It's a mid-length wheelbase. It has the same engine as the FJ62 that weighs more, so this little one's a little bit more peppy.
So it basically, for people that don't know it, and I go look it up because they're cool, it looks just like the older Land Cruisers, but it's shorter. It's like they scrunched it up.
Yeah, really fun. And that one isn't quite set up as well for overlanding, but it's set up enough to be a bug out. Yeah, it's really fun.
Cool. It's a couple of classics.
Yeah, I'm like everybody else, where I have to watch what I spend and where I spend it.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two vehicles that are, in my case, affordable, and they're not so old that they're impossible to find parts, and you can modify them fairly easy.
Right. So just before we sign off, what are it for somebody that wants to maybe look into stuff a little more in depth as far as gear and setting up for overlanding, which is also bugging out and stuff like that? Are there any websites that have good information?
Good information.
We need a good rabbit hole to send these guys down.
Yeah, I call it a black hole. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're into Toyota Land Cruisers, that's kind of my specialty.
Right.
Right. So there's a website called I Hate Mud. It's
Oh yeah.
IH8MUD,
Uh-huh.
and you might get on that website and come out 5 days later with needing to eat, because there's a lot of information in there, from everything from building up your vehicle classically to a bug out vehicle. But there's so much information there.
Yeah.
And then if you want to see some good ideas of bug out vehicles, the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum, that website has some awesome bug out vehicle types.
What's their website?
It is landcruiserhm.com, I believe.
Okay. If you just
If you
Google search for Land Cruiser Museum.
Yeah, but
would
do
come
it
there.
on DuckDuckGo though.
Yeah.
And so those are two that I use quite a bit. There's others, but if you wanted to get to specific brands or items, the list is endless, just like with everything else. So there's everything from adventure trailers to kind of help you figure out if you want to set up the inside of your vehicles with drawers and fridges, or whatever that is. The list is just endless.
Yeah. Lots of cool stuff. So anyway, hopefully this was entertaining and at least mildly educational.
Yeah, hopefully we've enabled a small number of you to go out and ruin your life with a new hobby.
And if you want to see some of the stuff that Kyle's talking about in action, I really recommend that Expedition Overland series. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. Pretty cool stuff. The first one, I can't remember where they were, Alaska or something. It started off a little slow, I'll be honest, but stick with it. It's interesting, and it's just neat when they encounter obstacles and how they get through stuff, and something that you'll see them using the gear that you've talked about specifically in action.
They have awesome rigs. They're kind of the other end of the spectrum, right?
Yes.
But that's something that you can look at and say, hey, I think I like X, Y, Z, and I don't need A to Z.
Right, yeah. But anyway, go get your vehicle set up and ready for getting you home or getting you out, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I'll be installing the snorkel in my Subaru.
in your 18-inch lift kit.
in my gun ports.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks, Kyle, for being with us. That was a fun conversation.
Thank you.
Appreciate the invitation.
Really educational.
It was a good time. Anyway, we'll catch you all next week. Be safe and be nice.
Do that.
Yeah, we'll in just a minute. Okay.
We need to start like this. Is this thing on? Jason, is this thing on?
It's on.
Okay, cool. 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 Okay, cool.